What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Flickin' with Skip. This is your host and friend, Skip Marazzi, here to work on some animatics for Cox in Space and to talk about movies as we do it. This is a behind the scenes podcast for Cox in Space as we work on the project so that you can see that it's us. We're doing it. Uh, in different ways and different parts. We're showing you how artwork is done, but please don't look at mine. Oh my God, for God's sake, it's really this is just to make sure that we have some images that we can look at and we can hear the voices and the songs because IMO, that's the best part of the show, and Jack's art is. So I'm just trying to highlight those two things, and I think that if I can do that, I'll be pretty happy with that. So um, s- right now, we're actually going to start a new session. I hope that you're excited about that. A new session, a new series is what I mean to say. And I hope that you're excited about that. If you're not, that's okay. We got other things you can listen to on different podcasts and whatnot. Um, but yeah, we're starting a new series here on Flicking with Skip. As we covered the last, we're gonna veer away from the substance a little bit. As you see, we may have done in the last few episodes. I hope that you're not disappointed. And we covered Toy Story, and then we covered the Final Destination series, and now we're going back to look at a director like we do the Tarantino series, and we're going to be looking at Christopher Nolan, who made me love films. So, and made me kind of really respect like what it was that a movie is. So, spoilers will happen all the way through this, but spoilers now too is that the how we're going to be looking at the this film series is based off of my personal rankings, and it's completely subjective. So I'm more than happy to hear your comments below when you disagree with me about the things that I'll be saying, because Christopher Nolan is not just my personal favorite, but he is also apparently a lot of people's favorites. So that's one of the things that I wanted to point out to you in this is that when you look at Nolan's IMDb scores stacked all together, you see that he is well respected. There is one movie that is not out of his filmography, and it's distinctly different from the rest of his work. So it's understandable that people wouldn't be about that so much. Um, it's Quaid, the documentary about the animators. And so that got a 6.3. But I'm just going to put that as an outlier because again, that film is so different. And we're not actually going to talk about it in the series because I don't believe that that's like I think he was doing that as like a side project and not necessarily as the body of work that is his. And I don't know if that's true or not, but that's how it feels to me. So that's kind of the impression that I got from it. But if you look at his scores, apart from that, you see that his lowest score is a 7.2. And that's for Insomnia, which is a remake of a film, and you can kind of understand that, interesting as it is, and we'll talk about that actually in this episode. And then the highest movie he has ranked is, believe it or not, I think you probably can. It's The Dark Knight. It's 9.1, 2008 Dark Knight, with of course Christian Bale um, and Heath Ledger, among other people. So many. It's just a star-studded cast. Nolan, especially, I mean, once he got noticed, he pretty much from the following, right? He gets some really good actors in his first real big film, and the one that we're going to cap this series off with, Memento. My personal favorite. This is so. Anyway, uh, again, this listing is totally subjective, but it's hard to do with his movies. And I understand that you guys have a lot of opinions about this because you might not be happy with where I put The Dark Knight on my list, and you might not be happy where I put, say, Interstellar, because I know a lot of people like that movie as well. Um, or so yeah, you're welcome to talk about it. Uh, but a lot of his movies, they're hitting right in the high seven, mid to high seven, and then up to the eight. There's a lot of movies up there in that well respected. So I think that he's fair to talk about for us to be talking about, and for us to take a look at. So I wanted to do that for you. Now I'm not going to give you full spoilers, but kind of give you a reveal as it goes along. But I will tell you this about this series is going to be from my least favorite films to my favorite films. And again, just personal ranking. So um, let's talk about it. Like I said, first of all, Christopher Nolan gave me a huge respect for what films are and the way that you can tell a story visually. Also, his bigness, in my opinion, is one of the things that makes him great. He will have large casts, large practical effects, large like shots, even if they're CG. You see them in a lot of them. He knows he's filming for the big screen, and he makes it as eye popping as possible. It's a fun aside. I got to be I was in Chicago when they were filming part of Batman Begins. Is that the is that the first one? I don't know if that's actually the name of it. Jeez. Uh, that was pretty dumb of me. No, that's the name of the movie. For some reason, it sounded like I don't know the one with the other guy, George Clooney in it, and not this movie. So silly on me for that. But yeah, so I was there when that was happening, so it was cool to see that and to hear the stories because I was in comedy and there's working actors in Chicago. I was not one of them in that way as far as extras go. But people who said that they got to see the practical effects and get to be on the set and see those things, like the real like Batmobile and how big it was. And so, I think that's one of the things that makes Nolan really respected, especially in the age of CG, is that he's doing it practically. I think one of the jokes with Oppenheimer was that he was actually going to film like a detonation, so he could capture it because he was kind of like enthralled with this or whatever, which I think is an amusing idea. But I don't believe that he did that. I will look into it before we get there. So even though I might say some things that are critical of Christopher Nolan, just recognize that it's not that there is any disrespect to the man and his legacy, and I fully recognize like how such a good director he is to pull like such big projects together and pull them off successfully and these big visions. Again, recognizing what big cinema is. Now he might be the last of an era. I don't know if we are so much big cinema viewers as much anymore. I think we like bigness, but I think for us mainly, it's becoming less about the theater, which is what he's filming for, and more about what we can see, what we see at home. There's a lot of like more casual entertainment than there was previously. Like something that just needs to be on, versus something we watch. And I think Christopher Nolan, I mean, he's respected, I think, among people who do film and recognize film, but you do have to watch it. You can't halfway watch it. Although, in some cases, I believe he does like spell it out pretty clearly. But there's a lot of strange things that go on, and people with interesting motivations, um, for the most part. I think he is pretty accessible. Um, let's start with one of the things that the one that is the lowest on the list for me. So this might be a hot take. When I mentioned it to our co-host Logan Gifford, he was like, "What? I can't believe that you would rank that so low." And I'm like, man, like look at the rankings. You know what I mean? Like I'm just gonna read down them real quick, just so you can hear like the order. Just I mean, you can look them up on IMDb, but listen to this. Like highest to lowest: 9.1, 8.8, 8.7, 8.5, 8.4, 8.4, 8.3, 8.2, 7.8, 7.4, 7.3, 7.2. That's his rankings. Currently in IMDb. So generally well loved, well respected director. So um, that's why it's hard to put this movie, The Dark Knight Rises of 2012, which is ranked in 8.4. Ranked with my favorite movie, Memento, right? It's like so like people are like, yeah, that movie is a good movie, pretty well respected for what it does, but it's my personal taste, right? That it's not a fun movie. It feels like to me in a lot of ways, just as a quick summary, to that idea. Like as I observe the movie, it feels like to me all the actors are just like, ugh, here we are. Like, I gotta show up to work. This is what pays my bills. So let's just get this done. I signed a 3 movie contract. Let's give them a 3 movie contract. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like, that can be the case with any job, even as, a star, right? Just because you're a star doesn't mean like some of your work is drudgery. And I would pull up on the screen for you some of the images that I would like you to see of just like there's like looks on Christian Bale's face. I'm not going to actually do it, but he looks taxed in a way that does not look fun. Like when he enjoys his roles, you can see it, right? Like he's like living it and it's constant. This character that he gives us, this Bruce Wayne, is like all over the place. Now, I understand transformation of his character in this movie, and I see that happens as transformation of the character. But I'm talking about when he shows up as Bruce Wayne, and even like how he speaks and how he moves. He kind of swings between like Patrick Bateman and like I don't know, the guy from the movie where he lost a lot of weight for, or the boxer type character. Kind of like sullen and withdrawn. Um, and so it's just like an uneven character when Christian Bale can do better work. Also, this movie has Tom Hardy in it, which features him in a mask that doesn't let him even articulate much. Most of the movie, I was like, blah, and then I recognized there's some good close-ups when Bane brings Batman Christian Bale down into the place that you find out that the prisoners escaped from and all that. Um, that you can see that Tom Hardy is actually doing really great acting, like with his eyes and with his face, like just the top part of his face. And so like it made me respect Tom Hardy for taking a challenge as far as the role goes and basically becoming like Vader. Because Vader, is all behind a mask. You don't even know who the actor is. You could replace him with anybody, right? And you can see that he is acting, and you can see that like it's like in his eyes, he's living it. So, uh, I'll give you that. I think that Nolan had a hard time just with the IP in general. I feel like the people who own the rights to Batman don't necessarily and Superman, that whole like set of comic books, it feels to me as if they don't know what to do with success. I don't know how else to say it. Like it seems like once they get something like an IP that starts running really well, they start to meddle with it, and all of a sudden it's not fun anymore, and nobody likes it. And I'm sorry, it's just like a casual observation. I don't even have any great examples. If you want to comment on that below, you can definitely comment on that, or comment in the chat, and you guys can talk about that. Um, but yeah, so that's what I feel like is happening. And then also, this is the thing that really gets me about this one. This is so. Okay, let me sidestep real quick just so you hear the rant goes with this idea is that all those things going into it. I'd never actually seen the whole thing before because I had seen bits of it and I was like, all these actors feel like they're phoning it in. I can't watch this. I just don't want to. Kind of ruined my vision of like Nolan because I wanted him to be like, he only like shits gold, right? And so, but that's not how life works. That's not how projects work in the real world. Sometimes you get hired to do jobs and you're like, yeah, I could use all that money that you're about to give me for doing something that's, relatively simple. Um, and so the thing that I was like, oh, that's cool that turns out is that they were actually setting it up. It seems for a Batman and Robin and Catwoman movie. Um, and I was like, dang it. And this is what dropped it down to the bottom of the list for me is I was like, I can't believe that you would write this movie as the end of the trilogy instead of the beginning. Because how many times have we seen Batman begin again, beginning his start, the beginning of Batman? You know what I mean? Like, it would be cool if, like, we got to see, that. And I really, really want Joseph Gordon-Levitt to be Robin, like, so bad. Like, I didn't even, like, when he started being like, hey, I found out about you, and I'm onto the case and all this, and I was like, oh, that would be a really cool Robin. And then I'm sorry, I'm spoiling the freaking end of the movie that came out in 2012. And if you didn't want to see it, there's spoilers in the titles. Just don't click on this video. You can also be mad if you want to, but you don't have to be. You can just chill and be cool. Uh, but yeah, so uh, that's the I was like, I can't believe that he would do that to us. And so like I just dropped it down. I was like, I can't believe it. One of my beefs, and I'll probably say this a couple of places on a couple of different movies with Christopher Nolan, is that I think that he has such great visions for movies. Like he has these like really cool ways of turning stories into something that's interesting to watch, and the camera work is intriguing, and it moves, and it's fun and engaging. But I feel like in some of his movies, and this is one of them, like I feel like he misses the story that he should have told. And all the pieces are there, and you can see how it can lay out a specific way, but he instead decides to make it a different way. Totally his choice, but it's like sometimes the more powerful story. Like, um, I think if we would have seen a Batman, Robin, and Catwoman movie with Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Anne Hathaway, and Christian Bale, I think that we would have had a really cool movie. And if we had done it at the time that Heath Ledger was still around, and we could have had a Joker in the mix of that, man, I'm just saying, if we ever have the ability to open up alternate timelines and see movies that could have been, I definitely want to see that movie like so bad. I think it would be so so cool. Um, so anyway, uh, that's the Dark Knight Rises. It's fun to have those guys in those movies. I think it was really cool the way that Christopher Nolan didn't really like do exploitative shots of Anne Hathaway and her Catwoman suit. Like I think that was like pretty respectful for him to do that way. Like he really could have, you know what I mean? And the way that he shoots it, you can see in a lot of ways it's like tight, so that like you can see that she has all this form, but it's like also like not just like straight booty shots like you would expect in say like a Fast and Furious movie or something like that. Not to dog on Fast and Furious, but that's the first thing that popped into my mind when I started thinking about gratuitous booty shots. No offense, Vin Diesel, my fellow nerd. If you ever want to chill sometime and do some like I don't know tabletop, we should do it because it'll be fun. So anyway, um, Anne Hathaway as Catwoman in this movie is really charming. Because I do really have a big crush on her as an actress. And not Princess Diaries as you might expect, because like while that's from like my era and like my generation, I didn't actually see it when it was around. But I just have a lot of respect for her as like the roles that she's chosen. She did that Darren Aronofsky movie. I think.
Okay, so we're just real quick. I not only did I get the wrong actress, I got named the movie wrong here in a second. I'm talking about The Fountain with Rachel Weisz that has nothing to do with Anne Hathaway. Sorry, later.
Which is great. She was, she did. She's the witch in Witches. She did Les Mis. So I have a lot.
Okay, so goofily enough, I forgot to mention my absolutely favorite Anne Hathaway movie, the movie that made me fall in love with her as an actress, is Colossal, which, if you guys haven't seen it, and I think a lot of people haven't, because it's not talked about very much, but there's something about her performance which is just, this is why I say the next comment that I say.
Just I have a lot of respect for Anne Hathaway. I think that she exhibits every type of woman. I think that she can exhibit every type of woman. How's that? I don't know if I've seen her in every single role, but I think that she is versatile enough to do it. And yeah, and even this, you know what I mean? Like, she's even versatile enough to play Catwoman in a way that it's like cool and powerful. I wasn't sure if they were going for a lesbian relationship with their really close friend or not. That would have been cool. I couldn't tell in this movie, and maybe I was supposed to know it from another movie and I've forgotten, or something. I don't know. There's something there, and maybe I didn't notice because I don't see gender in relationships. You know what I'm saying? Like I just like to love when people love. I just love it when people love. You know, man. I don't know. I'm just messing. It's an absolute waste in this movie that they have Commissioner Gordon in bed, a fantastic and seasoned actor whose name I absolutely cannot remember and could not remember the entire time, because every time he does a role, he's just doing a really great job, and I can see all the roles that he's in, but his name is escaping me because he's that good. Um, Also, a big fan of Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I'll literally watch him in anything, even when the movies and shows are not great, because he is just fun. I think that, uh, if you get to hang out with Joseph Gordon-Levitt, you're having a pretty good time because he's a cool dude. He's probably not trying to make you feel bad about anything, and he just wants to get along as much as possible. And that's kind of the vibe I get. It would be funny to find out that that's not the case. Also, it would be a really funny role to see like him playing, basically like the dick. Although I think that bit's been done a bunch of times, so maybe not for him. Maybe we could have somebody else do it. I think we saw that done with uh, Daniel Radcliffe, flipping out and acting like he's cooler than his like stunt double or something like that.
Here's the reason I don't care that I can't do a handstand or splits. I was 11 years old when I started in the most phenomenally successful franchise of all time. I have some of the greatest British actors of all time on my speed dial on my phone. I have Gary Oldman, Alan Rickman, Maggie Smith, Danny Dyer. I have Danny Dyer on my phone.
Yeah, but can you do this?
I'm gonna call him.
Can you do this?
Which funny bit, right? That's a funny bit. Uh, anyway, so yeah, that's pretty much the yeah all the it's got Miranda in it. She's this like socialite that's pursuing him. And then spoilers, it turns out that she is actually the daughter of his nemesis, Liam Neeson. She's a cool actress, a French actress. She was in these like race car movies, yeah, these French race car movies. That's where I recognize her from. I believe that she's also the actress from Big Fish, if I remember correctly. Um, so those are my references. Speak to the ones below that you know her from. It seems like Nolan does like her. He's used her in a couple of roles. There's another one we're going to be talking about later that I was like, oh, cool. She's also in Inception. And that's the one we're going to be talking about. Real fun, real fun. The movie just feels like it goes. goes on for a long time. I feel like that is the case with um, all of his Batman movies. But also, I'm not huge into Batman. Um, so I just, for me, I'm just like, okay, like they've raced around a bunch. He's used like the cool technology. And this one is kind of tough to watch because the first part of the movie isn't even Batman doing Batman things. He's kind of like, oh, oh no, he's coming back from faking his death and having a broken back and all this sort of stuff. And you're just like, well, that's cool. I mean, that's cool and everything. Oh yeah, that's why I keep doing that. Gotcha. But yeah, so there's not a whole lot of Batman. Also, here's the other thing is that Bane, I mean, I don't know if this sounds like absolutely nuts to say, but Bane kind of makes sense. Like he says he's trying to give power back to the people. I guess it's just the insane plan that he wants to just destroy Gotham, for a reason. I think the reason in this movie is that Batman has they're trying to hurt Batman because it's Batman's favorite city, and so because it's Batman's favorite city, and he murdered her father, that they need to do this thing where they terrorize the cities. I don't know. I don't know. It's probably some lore where you comic book people, guys and girls and all the genders in between will be like, well, actually, so what you should know, and that's cool. I want to know because I definitely, I definitely, as you can see, I do not know. Um, so okay, I'm gonna move this down one so it doesn't freak me out. So yeah. Uh, there's a lot of high stakes. There's a weird time jump in the middle of this movie where they're like, oh yeah, they've been these cops have been trapped underground in the middle of winter for 3 months in either New York or Chicago or something like that. Some northern city where there's snow. I'm just like, oh, that's how many of them were dead? Because I don't think that's gonna. I mean, I don't think they would live that long. I don't know how they even, they they probably murdered each other by this time. So that sort of stuff. But yeah. So that happens. And yeah, like I said, it just feels like these movies that one just goes on. There's actually a note that I'm like, hey, there's an hour left in this film. Like why? Um, And then they do have some cool fights. Cillian Murphy shows up as the judge who, pronounces either exile or death on people, which is fun. Um, we see Christian Bale yell with his Batman voice, where is it? Where is it? And I think this might be one of the reasons that Christian Bale is like, ugh, this movie is because he just doesn't, he doesn't get like good lines. Um, so, because what Batman has to do, he has to, interrogate them. Um, there have been some cool interpretations of Batman, but for the most part, he's got to be the mask and cape. Um, so I don't know. I don't have the chin to play Batman, so I would never be cast as him. So maybe it's like a sour grapes kind of situation. But like I'm just like I wouldn't want to either. So again, take that as you will. But if you want to play Batman, and you think Batman's the coolest, I'm not dogging on you at all. That's awesome. I love people that love their things, but it's not a personal thing for me. Um, there is a bunch of more fighting there's a bunch more going on. Um, I think that Catwoman falling in love with Batman is interesting. Again, spoilers. But I think that that's interesting that they want to run away together and start their own life, somewhere else together. Is a good introduction. But I really wanted to see that relationship, and we never actually get to see it. We see like a hint of it at the end. Um, So anyway, that's my 2 cents there on the third installment of the Batman series, which is the lowest ranked film in my opinion of Christopher Nolan. Um, that's kind of the whole thing. I don't think there's any like good bad guys so much here, and there's not like a whole lot of like fun things to look at. There's some cool gadgets. The idea that the rich are coming down and that the those who have been starving for life, eating the scraps from their tables, that's going to change. Again, I don't disagree too much with Bane, but not in the way that you're going to destroy things. It's just that uh, we can't let it keep being like this because it's gross for humans to live in luxury while the people in their own country are starving, or the people in their own country don't have clean water. And if they want to consider themselves as part of a civilized country, because if I mean if that's more like what we would consider like an underdeveloped country, that there are people who can't get food and can't get clean water and don't have shelter. That's what you would expect and no offense to places that we consider underdeveloped countries, but that's what makes them underdeveloped, right? Is that they don't have those resources for their people. And if a country isn't able to provide it for the people, how can they say that they're possibly in any like understanding that they're a wealthy nation? Because clearly there's people who are very afraid that everything's going to crumble soon and that they have to hoard the wealth. And so I mean, that's not a vote of confidence for the country. Um, just saying, in a place where the people have health care and they have access to clean food and water and security and shelter, that's a wealthy nation. And so when America lives up to that, or when a country lives up to that, rather, I think that's the time that it really is a good nation, and not before. So take that way as you will. So, and that's one of the things I think that is the case with the Batman movies, and I think it's the case with why it doesn't sit well. I feel like with the people who are performing it or the people who are directing it, it feels like kind of phoned in, is because what it is it's like a like a lot of the hero movies are. It's like pro nation, pro cop, and I don't know if those actors are like for that so much. And it does have that like very like strong feeling like there's just like, oh, it's gonna be thrown into anarchy because the people are gonna rise up, and like that's just like, no, I don't think that would work that way, you know. Yeah, I just problematic, right? And so no fun to watch in a movie. If a movie's propaganda, it's fun to look at and laugh when you recognize it's propaganda, but then also at the same time, it's like, okay, so what am I doing? It's not copy merged. Because it should be, right? Like you saw me clicking, didn't you guys? Right here? Because I was doing with the keys like you should. So that you don't have to go up into that menu, but it wasn't doing it, and it's still not doing it. Um, okay, I'm gonna go real drastic, guys. Real drastic. like that, go bam like that, and then go back to bam like this. So that should, what? No. Or am I grabbing something that's not? There, that's, jeez. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, guys. That's silly. That's a silly thing to have done, and I'm not sure why it worked that way. Um, but we're here experiencing it together, so thank you for being here with me. Uh, Here we are, second on the list. I can stop harping on Batman for those of you guys who are like, oh dang, I don't know about this guy anymore. Didn't like the third Batman installment. It's not that I didn't like it. I think it's the weakest of Nolan's movies. And you know, it is enjoyable. I like all those guys' performances. I do always enjoy a Christopher Nolan movie again because of the size, because of the scope, because of the practical effects. You know, in the Batman movie, for instance, they blew up a stadium, and it's really fantastic because you can see that it's a stadium full of people. It's actual people that Christopher Nolan got in the audience. So he did not, even though he has the opportunity to, he did not go for the CG to fill it in because it'd be way cheaper to do it. He did it with people there. Now, I'm not sure if it's all the way up to the top, but you can see, like, in the shots that it's actually folks. Um, that's one of the things that I really like about him. And it's okay. And this is the other thing, guys, is it's okay to have movies that people don't like. Even great directors have movies that people don't like or like better than their other movies or whatever. And it's also okay for you to like some movies that other people don't like. And that's why people should make movies that they enjoy so that the people who enjoy the sort of stuff that they enjoy can like it. Um, and yeah, because it's different for different folks for different reasons. So that's part of being alive. So the second from the bottom, in my opinion, is Dunkirk of 2017. Now, Dunkirk, I only watched recently for the sheer reason that I just do not enjoy war movies for the same reason that we've kind of been talking about, but also it's for the same reason that I don't like sports movies. There's kind of like, two opposing sides and they're, doing the thing, whatever the contest is, whether it's, how many of the other side you can shoot or, whether you can slip inside the gate or dunk a goal or, kick a basket, whatever those things are. Um, and so it's just like, things happen in movies. And you're supposed to feel some ways about things, but for the most part, I don't feel nationalistic pride for any of the crimes that we've done to other countries. So, or on other countries. Um, for the most part, most wars just don't seem justified to me. To the way that people have gone and died. And you can comment below if you want to. Say what you will. For sure, I'm definitely willing to hear it. Um, but yeah, that's for me why they just don't really do it. So I was like, oh, Nolan did a war movie. Okay, cool. One thing I do want to point out is this. Real quick, we're gonna zoom out real quick as we look at the timeline again, because one of the things I didn't notice before, because as we're living through it, right, you don't necessarily notice like, oh, what came out a year ago or 2 years ago, but as you look at his work, you see that he does the following, which is a great film, and we'll talk about it. It's one of my favorite films. I think about that movie a lot, actually. It's one of the movies that, after seeing Memento, I went back and watched the following, and the two of those movies together made me like go like, stories really can be a thing, right? Or like film can really tell stories, right? Anyway, but he does Insomnia. So these are like three really like artsy pictures, and then you see that he does Batman Begins, and then after that he does The Prestige, which some people don't even know is a Christopher Nolan movie. Um, and they do, and then he does The Dark Knight, and then he does Inception, and he does The Dark Knight Rises, and then he does Interstellar. And so you can see that he's like doing ones that are commercial. He knows they're going to be commercial successes, that they're going to make a lot of money, and then he does ones that he can tell a story that he finds interesting. In my opinion, I don't know Christopher Nolan, but this is just what he seems to be doing. Um, and so he does a remake of Insomnia. It gets some good attention, but not as much. I mean, like you would expect with the cast that it has of Al Pacino and Robert Williams, and again, we'll talk about that coming up here. That it would get more attention. It's already an IP that's known. Sorry, Skarsgård. One of the Skarsgårds is in it in the original one. And so you would think it would get it. And so, like, I can see Christopher being like, being a smart man, being like, okay, I need to do something that people want to watch, right? Undoubtedly want to watch, and do it well. And he did. And then that gave him the ability to do another really artsy, interesting film, Prestige, and then do The Dark Knight, which is most people, as you know, that's his crowning achievement. Although I believe long term Oppenheimer might take it. Um, so it's really interesting that he's doing that, and then so you can see here he's doing the same thing with Dunkirk. It seems like because it's Dark Knight, Interstellar, and then he does Quay, where Quay is again like I said, like this artsy film about these animators that people don't necessarily know about, or they haven't even seen their work necessarily. Um, it's the one that I looked it up to see if I could find it anywhere, and no one was even like pirating it because they didn't want they don't like they just didn't care enough to do it or think I guess that anyone else would want to see it. So there's something right. Um, and then with the other films, you see like right after Dunkirk, he does Tenet, which is a very interesting concept. The same as like Inception. Like Tenet is a movie that really like makes your brain go hmm. Um, and so in that, and like Interstellar too, because like this is one of those things that makes your brain go hmm. I think that Dunkirk, in that, I think that Dunkirk is supposed to be one of his commercial movies. It's supposed to make him money, and because people like World War II stories, and it's about it's has a lot of like British pride as the like heart of the movie. So much so that I was a little bit lost because I'm not British and I wasn't sure exactly what the event was that they were celebrating. Guys, flame me below if you want to on that one because I didn't know. I'm not one of those guys who pays attention to those things generally, like World War II and etc. The Great Wars at all, to be honest. Like I said, I just don't feel like they're justified, so I just don't feel like they're that interesting as to what's going on with them. Although why they happen is something that being more and more become more and more intrigued with. Anyway, so I feel like Dunkirk is supposed to be a commercial success movie, and I believe that it was. It was pretty well widely received. 7.8 is nothing to sneeze at in 2017. Um, and it it looks like and it is an interesting movie. It's about this Dunkirk, I believe, that's been besieged, and so there's a bunch of soldiers who are there, and the thing is that they're entrenched in a way so that they're holding the line so that the invading force is Germany, I believe, is like pushing towards England. And so like it's like the I believe is the last outpost as they're pushing towards England. And so they're trying to hold the line, but also they're hemmed in and they have to get off this place because there's no resources. Um, and that's kind of the heart of the story. It takes place with a guy who is his boat is commandeered so that he can go pick up the soldiers on the beach, and he's part of a fleet of these civilian vessels that are sent over there. There is the story of a pilot who is risking everything so that he can take down as many German planes as possible, like flying, even though he has no idea what his fuel gauge is going to be through the entire movie, and just trying to calculate it so he can just again keep his emit people as safe as possible. It's a story of these. It starts off with these little like rats, these soldiers who don't want to be there anymore, and they're trying to get off the island in any way possible, and they keep trying and they keep trying. Eventually they do, but just the hijinks that they have along the way, and they almost make it, and they get turned back, and then they finally get picked up. And it's also the story of a man who is too scared to go back and accidentally kills a person on the boat, and the civilian boat that picks him up by getting too rough and being crazy. And the forgiveness for soldiers who are experiencing like PTSD. Um, Interesting cast, right? The airplane pilot is Tom Hardy. The guy who kills a kid accidentally is Cillian Murphy. I don't know if I'm saying it right. That could be right. Um, I don't know. So there is Kenneth Branagh in the movie. Ralph Fiennes shows up. It has like a very like British heart to it. So and again, a movie that would make money is what Christopher Nolan's looking for, and I believe he got it by God. I believe that's why he did Oppenheimer as well. It seems like to follow the pattern. So I am really interested in seeing the project he's working on now. I think it's The Odyssey. Because I think it's going to be one of these artsy films that makes you think about stuff that he likes to do in between his other movies. Um, yeah, it's a really fantastic move on his part to move between very popular projects and ones that are a little bit more out there. Because he gets to do both, you know. Um, and so he's not pigeonholed and stuck in either one of those. It gives him the freedom, I believe, as a creator to do now anything that he begins to think about. Because why should he be restricted in those? Seeing as he can handle both types of stories and pictures well. Um, you gotta respect Dunkirk for being again huge. You see them on a huge set. I mean, some city. The city set either it's they built it and it's that detailed, or somebody built it at one point, or they're actually on a practical location and just bombing the shit out of it. Those are both things that could be the case. Uh, it's Yeah, so it's things like that. They're just like you gotta respect it. There's tons of people in uniforms, huge boats in this movie. Now some of them sink, and that's CG. You can see that, but no, it's amazing how big it is. Like he just continues just to be so impressive with its bigness. So you do have to give that to it. Um, the One of the my issues with it is that it just has this convoluted story. There's like so much going on, and it just expects us to like know what is like. It's not. It expects us to know like what what these events are. I feel kind of the same way about Lord of the Rings, the movies, is that for just a moviegoer who just casually walks in and expects the story to be there for them to understand. Not all the pieces are necessarily there for that. Um, so I'm sorry. I'm talking and then also trying to figure out what layer this is because you see, it's none of the ones that it keeps wanting to select. Yeah. Um, as you can see, I'm being real sloppy in putting this together because it's not that one. It should be right. Like I should be looking at it. It should be right there, but I guess I could use that one. Okay. Um, I'm sorry. I forgot where I was with that the distraction. But yeah, no, Christopher Nolan's a bigness with it. Oh, this is the thing. So his confusion with the he seems to be telling too many stories. It's hard to care about all the characters that are in the movie because it's just there's just so many different things going on. And they're long, you know what I mean? So we see Tom Hardy dogfighting for over, this the time span of 2 hours, 2.5 or something like that. And so that's where it's like it's cool and it's fun and there's things that he does that like you're proud of him for, but also it's like there's events that occur that they're like as these guys are trying to escape, and I think you can make a whole story about just them trying to escape. But it's only like a side story of what's going on, and the way that the ships are coming in and out is a big thing, and the story of why the man on the boat is driving to there to like help out. Um, just there's just and it's cool, right? I get right like that there are so many different perspectives in war. And there's so many different reasons why people do things. That's really cool. It just seems like there's maybe too many of them. Like too, if there's like contrasting stories to each other or something like that. You have two people who are running away, for instance, right? You have Cillian Murphy who is trying to escape. I think he's like he goes down with his plane. And gets picked up, and he doesn't want them to go back so much he accidentally kills the guy. And then you have the guys who are trying to get off the island. You know what I mean? So those, or off of Dunkirk, and those two could be the same. Um, it could be this like Tom Hardy's story arc. That he was all about it, and then it goes down. It could be right. I like his ending, which is that he successfully lands a plane after a tough mission of making sure that things happen, and then he, he's captured. Spoilers, as always. Um, so I mean, like it's just I do I love them, but I do feel like this one it's just like it's like too all over the place, and then too much of the same all over the place. And there might be the thing again that I don't like war movies and the things that happen in war movies, and so he's doing that really well. I can imagine people who do enjoy war movies will love to see the dogfighting because it's fun. There's some real pretty shots while he's dogfighting, for sure. That's definitely like part of the story of you to see and actually like feel like you're in the cockpit and experiencing that to a certain extent, right? There's the yeah, you get to the when they're like they get trapped inside a boat that they're hoping will get picked up by the sea that they could get out to sea. That's been shot up a bunch, and excuse me. Oh my God. Sorry. Yeah. And they want that to they want to escape in this boat, and so like the claustrophobia of being inside of it, like you get to experience that too. I feel like he does a really good job of that, for sure. So it is he's doing a war movie. I personally would have loved to see them getting trapped in the city and the time leading up to the kid trying to escape, because I feel like there's a lot you can do with the soldiers there at that moment where they can just really build their relationships, and that may be what it is. This really bothers me about this is that they don't things happen to them and they seem to care about stuff, but no one seems to be involved with anybody else. They don't seem to have, you know, the kid does care that his friend got killed, but they kind of, again, forgive me, they kind of just play it off, right? They just kind of just write it off as like, oh, it's fine. The guy who killed him is shell shocked. Um, like this is the thing that happens in war, and I think that the conclusion of his storyline is that they say he died a hero, and they don't mention that it was, he was assaulted by, one of their own. Um, which is interesting in my opinion, like how that was handled. Um, and it's just, yeah, there's just so many different stories in this. Now, one of the things that is great about this movie, I will give him for sure, is that there's some fantastic scenes with no dialogue, which are just real hard to pull off to keep people's interest. But then also, it means that you have to up your cinematography. Like it has to capture people's point of view if you're going to do that, right? Um, and he does. Yeah, it only like in retrospect did I realize that there was no dialogue in those scenes, and I was like, oh, sweet, that cool. That's exactly what you would be wanting. Uh, huh. Okay. So I don't know how I don't know to how I'm supposed to do this, right? Like, because I'm copying merged, right? Like everything within that area, and I'm putting it onto this top layer, but it's not capturing everything. All right. Because it should just be one freaking line right here. Yep, that should be it. Maybe it's merged everything below from when you're on? Is that it, guys? Did I just figure out something that most of y'all know from using this? Okay, gotcha. Um, I'm pretty sure that's what it is. That actually makes the most sense. Okay, so cool. Um, yeah, Dunkirk. There's There is one really cool shot where there's this boat that they're trying to get on, the deserters, after their boat is sinking. They get out of it and they start swimming for this other boat that they think is going to take them away. And what actually happens is that one gets bombed, and so it's cool. I mean, it's a huge set piece. For real, for real. Like it's a boat. It's a freaking boat. Um, and man, just man, um, the explosions on it, the people diving into the water, just like the whole boat sinking. Like it's practical effects. I don't think they actually sunk a boat, but maybe. It looks good. It looks good. Um, so it's real fun. They light some oil on fire with a bunch of people in it. One of the guys, I think, that was like a deserter gets caught in it and gets burned for, his just desserts, I guess, um, or whatever. like I said, there's a lot of storylines. So at this point, I was like, I don't know. I kind of recognize the guy as being one of the guys from one of the storylines that I'm supposed to care about. But I don't. So I'm sorry. Um, I wish I did, but it's just, it just is what it is. There's just too much going on for me to care. Which I think that's probably why there's the cases like Saving Ryan's Privates that they the story of the cancer survivor, um, they they make sure that we care about the individuals who are involved in that story, um, because uh, it makes war make sense to us. It's kind of the idea. Anyway, um, so, but at the same time, I understand why. Same with like Lord of the Rings. I understand why it is the way that it is. Like, I don't fault Lord of the Rings for doing what it does. It's got a lot to do, and it's got to do it in 3 movies. It's got way more than 3 movies worth of content. So, they did what they did. And same thing with this. Like, how do you sum up all the people's experiences in one movie? Well, you just do your best. Is what Nolan's take is, and just try to get it so that you get kind of snapshots of what it was like to be there and all the things that were happening at the time, since it was a major event, historical event for them. So yeah, they're all like happy and stuff. I see it happening. Nolan does something at the end of this movie, which he does in a bunch of his films, um, is he kind of leaves the ending ambiguous, which is real fun, especially in this one, in my opinion. All of this is my opinion. There's literally no reason for me to keep saying it, but I'm just letting you know that you're welcome to disagree with all of these. Is that this is just me not stating facts, but just observations and things that I believe to be true. Um, so here, yeah, he does this thing where I think it's Harry Styles. I'm not real familiar with a lot of the, God, I hate saying this, but a lot of the like younger actors, ones who have become more prominent more recently. Because there's been a good decade where I just haven't been following like anything like TV or movies or anything. So that I can't, like, I think I recognize him. I think that's what his name is. But yeah, if he's in that movie and he's the one who fits this description, then I got it right. If not, comment about what it is. Tell me who it is, and how I have possibly gotten those two confused and all that. Um, but so he's like dejected, right? He's this blind man. He says wouldn't even look him in the eye, and so he's all dejected about that because he thinks that because they had to retreat, they're not considered heroes. And then a man puts a beer through the window, and he cons a newspaper boy out of a paper, because he makes him give him one and then doesn't pay him. So I don't know. It seems wrong somehow, even if you are a soldier. Um, but then, yeah, so his friends read into the paper that they consider it a victory, that even these terrible things happen, but the Churchill's like, we're gonna keep fighting, we're gonna fight them in the streets and all that. Um, Man, I'm really not trying to piss on British people right now, like at all. I'm unfamiliar with some of that history. So again, pipe up or whatever. But as his friend is reading the paper, he looks up to see the reaction of Harry Styles, or the soldier who is scared that the other people wouldn't think very highly of him. That return to his country, that they'd be spit upon, like say they were when they returned to Vietnam. Um, and this is a parallel that might not fit. Sorry. Uh, so the friend looks up from me in the paper, and that's where the movie ends. Is him looking up from the paper, which is it's interesting, right? Because it's cool how Nolan leaves us with these questions with his movies. Like he tells us everything so that we can come to a conclusion, but the conclusion we come to, he leaves it up to us. And so I think the question he's asking at the end of Dunkirk is, are they heroes or are they not? Um, because if you'll remember, the two boys that we're looking at in this train car spent the last 12 hours trying as much as they can to escape and get out of the war situation as much as possible. So are they heroes or are they cowards? I don't know, but I think that that is the question that he wants us to have as we leave the film Dunkirk. Um, it was good overall. I'll give you that. Like like I said, don't really like war movies. I do find them pretty drudgery. Same thing with superhero movies generally. That's why I think that the Batman so the rank really low for me. Um, because this, they have kind of a way that they go, and if they don't go that way, the people who like those movies won't like them as much. So. Yeah, I mean, I believe that he did make some interesting things from what he had. I feel like he probably does actually support this concept too. Like, it does feel like he has patriotic pride. I think Nolan's British. I'm pretty sure he is. For this moment, so I don't think it was just like just a commercial cash in. But I think he knew, he'd have an audience for it. I think he knew it was something that he would feel good making a movie about. Um, yeah, and so I can see that it has more of like a sentimental feeling to it. So yeah, I mean, I don't fault him for doing that. He's making the art that he loves. He does do it well. It was more interesting than some war movies I have seen, um, and was more about people than it was about the fighting, which is the one of the big reasons I'm like, oh, it's like on war movies. Uh, but yeah, so pretty good overall. Does rank pretty low on my ranking, but ranks over the third Batman. So it does have that going for it. For movies that I don't like that much, that one of my favorite directors has done genres of. I'm going to just take a quick pause, real quick, and mention that it's a Cox and Space behind the scenes podcast. Here, this is Flicking with Skip. I am Skip Maraza, your host and friend. And we're working on cleaning up this background so I can get this guy to appear to be running down this hallway. And by appear to mean, I mean he'll be getting smaller as he like yells frantically. I do want this cloud of dust to move with him, so I'm probably gonna have to do that. And then I want these lines to move with him too, and I'll have to pull those out separately, I'm guessing. Um, so that it has that more like zooming feeling. But also I'll probably cheat it a bit. Like I'll probably have him start closer to like camera left or whatever that is, the left side of the screen, and then run towards the center of it. Which to me is why it's going to be important to have this like door cleaned up, so he can be like in the space that's like in the area that's like here from the top of the window left to middle of the second window, and then down to the ground, like something like that, and then have him running up that way. It'll give us a little bit more time to stretch that out. Um, Anyway, so those things happen. But that's what we're doing. Working on animatics, talk about films, and you can find out more about us on our website, coxinspace.com. It's coxinspace.com, like the Cox and Space brothers, the brothers Cox. And you can always go up there, check us out, and if you want to, you can go to our Discord, and it's the link on the bottom. You'll see the image of the Discord. That'll take you to where we're at, get us connected, and you can hang out in the audience while we're doing any of these shows. Make your comments if you want to during the show while it's going on, to ask to the guests if you're interested in the topic. or any of those sorts of things. Up there, it also has our calendar, so you can see who's coming in, and I'm putting notes on stuff that we're going to be talking about too. So if you're interested in those things, we have a bunch of recurring guests that have been coming in. We have Bobby Broncos coming in. We're going to have Kate Leo coming back soon. Adam Lashak. Uh, who is somebody else? Dylan Farr. So just all really great friends who we always have a really fun time talking to. So if you guys want to hear it, my mom's going to be coming back again soon as well. And so tune in, check it out. Yeah, you can get connected, of course, here on YouTube. Like, comment, share. We love feedback from you guys to hear what is going on and what you are liking. And then if you go to coxinspace.com, you can go and you can click on our Facebook. And if you want to come onto the show and come talk about the things that you want to talk about, I'm pretty much interested in whatever you're interested in, as long as it's something that's like safe to talk about in, like pretty much like regular company. Nothing's really taboo. I would be down if you want to pitch it, and I would be up for listening to what it is that you like, what you like talking about. So yeah, hit us up on the Facebook. Talk to Aaron Cosbiel. That's coxinspace.com. Click on the Facebook. It gets you there. You can also join the crew, and joining the crew lets you get to be one of us. You get to either join as a science officer, a bridge officer, or as a cadet, and depending on how much you want to buy in for, and that lets you be a part of what we're doing. Make decisions about where the project's going, pitch ideas for the script, hang out with us on the episodes, all those things. We like to shout out to Jomo, who's our longest subscriber, who's also a voice actor on the show. So thank you for that, Jomo. And with all of those shout outs and whatnot, let's get back to it. Let's talk about the rest of Christopher Nolan's movies for tonight, shall we? Um, so, Inception is a movie that comes out in 2012, I believe. Sorry, 2010. And it ranks on the IMDb 8.8, which is pretty significant. I think why it does is a lot of people enjoy it for being cerebral in a way that's accessible, um, which, real fair. I think that is kind of a big deal, to be honest. And you can say that for a lot of films, like movies that make people feel smart because they understand the thing um, is is awesome, right? That's the way it should be for one. Like the kind of the ways that dream work and lucid dreaming and stuff like that. Um, and like the idea of like implanting an idea in someone else's brain, basically like gaslighting the movie, how to make people believe false things. But so yeah, it's a kind of like middle ranks for me. In my opinion, this movie, when it first came out, was kind of like 10 years too late. Like, I feel like this type of movie was really being made in the early 2000s. And so I remember watching Inception in 2010 and being like, yeah, this is like kind of passe. Because there was a bunch of mind movies like that. I will say this, that going back and watching it, it is really fun. A lot of stuff like holds up. The performances are pretty good still. The way that we're moved easily into it, as far as the story goes, it feels very much like a bank job movie. Like a crime movie. Um, like that. So like a Guy Ritchie you could think of, but Guy Ritchie where they steal stuff from people's minds. Um, so Lock, Stock, Two Smoking Barrels, or like that sort of thing. Um, and they kind of set up like who does what and what they're gonna do, and this is the plan into the heist. Um, it starts in a cool way, and it starts in the very end of the movie. But also in the way that this movie works, time works in a weird way, and so they get into that quite a bit. Um, we see, Leo end up on the beach. He's definitely like all sorts of tore up. And they're talking to this man, and he shows them this emblem of this top spinning. And this top is, if you've seen the movies, and as you know, it's a popular, it's an important thing to recognize because that to him, as far as we understand, tells him when he's dreaming or not. Um, and the idea with Inception is really, really tricky. It's interesting and tricky at the same time because Inception is about how you can have dreams within dreams, and the idea that in dream time, the deeper you go into a dream within a dream, the more time multiplies. And I think they say it's like a magnitude of 10. Um, and the whole like crux of this movie, there's events that occur, but kind of what you discover is that um, there's a deep level of dream time that is seemingly infinite. And going there kind of like can mess up your perception of space and time. Um, that's what we're led to believe for most of the movie. Um, what you do find out is that the idea of inception, which is implanting an idea in somebody else's brain to the point that they believe that they did it themselves, can be done. And the reason that Leonardo knows it is because he implanted it in his wife's brain when they were stuck in a deep level of reality. That they, or this dream reality, they believed was reality. And so he made her believe that she was living in a false reality, and the only way to escape was to kill themselves, which was true, for them in that reality. But the idea that stuck with her, she was alive, and she couldn't break it, and she couldn't get out. Um, and so then the movie's following on in the second layer of the movie is this idea that he is very much in love with her. He can't let her go, and he wants to live with her and stay with her inside the dream. And so this like ghost of his wife is haunting him and living there with him. And so the main character Leonardo DiCaprio plays is often in his dreams and often there. But the big problem is that whenever he goes in for a mission, there she is too. His current wife is there in his dreams, acting as kind of like a jealous protector over him, and trying to kill anyone who interrupts his dreams. Um, it's interesting. The movie is him coming to the acceptance that she's gone, and that she's not coming back. And he wants to wake up so badly. He just needs to do this final mission, where he gets his, he gets this man to split Cillian Murphy to split up his father's estate. And he has to accomplish this one successful inception where he does the thing and brings catharsis so he can go back home to his kids. So he does that. There's a bunch of stuff that happens, and I'll say this about Nolan too, is I feel like I think he realized that action sells, and so he started incorporating more action into his movies, which is fine, but it really does make his movies feel real long, because uh, I don't know if this is true or not. So say what you will, guys. Comment below. But it seems like he doesn't know how to handle action well. And so it comes across he knows that he has to do it, but he doesn't really like it, but he puts it in there anyway, just like the same way that you put a salad on the side of a steak. And so like you're not supposed to eat it or enjoy it, but it's there, and you're like, well, I guess since they put it there and they put some like Parmesan on it and whatever, that I'm gonna try it anyway. And you're like, yeah, it's there, but not the best. I really can't read the steak. So I feel like that's the thing about Nolan movies. And this is what Inception, to me, really suffers from, even though there's some really great action sequences. So don't get me wrong there. But Like the whole third act is has always really thrown me. It threw me less, I think, because I was expecting it, and then I did recognize that it's like C. Murphy's vision, like Cillian Murphy's the guy that he's playing, his view of the world, um, which is like very sleek, tactical. You know, they've got all this gear and stuff. But you know, he doesn't seem to play like a major role in that story. And it just seems like a lot of like gratuitous like shooting and racing and blowing up. Now, Christopher Nolan does it well. I mean, it looks good. It's got the camera work to be like high speed. You can tell, you know, um, they really did the things. But at the same time, you know, it's just more running and shooting. It doesn't add a whole lot. Also, this movie suffers from a lot of exposition, and I appreciate it because you know because we know now what is happening that they're you know how the dreams work specifically as Leonardo DiCaprio explains it to the current actor Elliot Page in the previous persona in the previous identity. Um, you know, just kind of like mansplaining, and then there's a bunch of other scenes, a couple of other scenes at least, where Joseph Gordon-Levitt's doing the same thing, and it's just like, you know, like cool explanations, cool visuals. It's so boring. To explanations just suck. So, you know, I don't know what to tell you. In some ways, like Nolan make fantastic movies. In some ways, don't imitate him, right? Because he's not great at necessarily everything. But interesting ideas, putting great casts together, making great movies. He's solely doing those things. Um, Here's the problem with Inception. Here's the big thing with Inception is that um, the the top at the end, and you know, everybody talked about it when it came out. We're going to talk about it again here and now. Um, Once the top is spinning and doesn't stop spinning because it does it for a long period of time, he sees the faces of his kids, but his wife isn't there anymore. I think that he did find peace at the end of it, but I think that he's also inceptioned himself. I think that what we see is he needs to come to a place where he can live in like joy and not feel the guilt that he feels in all the places. And so he devises a strategy of these like high action adventures to get to a place where he can forgive himself for what happened to his wife and you know move past it, and then he envisions the kids that he wants. When when in actuality it seems as if he probably didn't wake up, like he hasn't woken up, or if he did at the end of that mission, the choice he made was to go back into his dreams. Uh, Maybe because it's been so long that his kids have grown up, or maybe something else happened to them that we don't know about. You know, because we just had that one version of her going off the balcony. But again, her going off the balcony doesn't make sense because why is their suite trashed, but then she's in another suite that's like across the whole like you know building from where she is. Like I'm imagining it's U-shaped like a lot of these buildings are, and you have to go all the way down the hallway and all the way around the corner to the other side of the building to get there. So I'm not sure that that's a real memory. Tom Hardy's in this movie. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Leonardo DiCaprio, the woman who played Miranda in the Batman movies, in Batman Begins. Um, who again, the French actress, I didn't look up. I should have done it. Um, there are some really cool shots in Inception, of course. Like, how can we not talk about the cool shots? Just Joseph Gordon-Levitt fighting in the hallway as it spins. Really fun time. The Ariadne character folding space over so that the cars are driving above them. Really fantastic shot. The impossible stairs shots that they pull off twice are really fun. Ariadne doing the mirror, getting it so that she can see her infinite reflection of it and breaking it. Really fun shot because where's the camera and you can see that they're all together there. Really fun. Um, Excuse me. And yeah, so just watching Cobb. So yeah, with him, I really think that it's a clever idea. Um, it just goes on for so long, and then they're trying to incept this guy, and they go for the multi levels of the drama and the intrigue, and then he speaks the idea himself as he like comes out. Um, and all of this. But once we find out that Leo is asleep still, and that the only reason he's getting back to America is because he had to be able to do that in order so he could have peace. Um, that's where you're like, okay, well then none of that mattered. Like all that we watched, the intrigue, the incepting, like the guy's death, the saving him, the old man from limbo, like none of that likely is real. None of that likely happened. Um, so so yeah, I mean that's where we are with the movie Inception. I do like it. I do enjoy the performances. The music, of course, is amazing. Um, the visuals are great for the most part, where it's interesting, and everybody gives a fantastic performance. Uh, so yeah, I mean, Christopher Nolan leaves the ending ambiguous with the spinning top, but I think it is actually pretty clear because he says, the way that he knows when he's dreaming or not is the top stops. And what other reason would you have to leave the top spinning except for like that? Here's a movie that a lot of people, unless they're really into film, probably don't know about, first of all, and then secondly, they may not have seen. It's less likely they've seen, in my experience. This may have changed in some time, and I didn't know. And so maybe this is outdated. Maybe after the fact that this comes out, people start watching it again. And like, dang, this is a good movie for this, that, and the other reasons. Because it is. Um, that will have changed. But I think a lot of people don't know of this as a Christopher Nolan movie, and that's Insomnia from 2002. Now, if you remember in the timeline, you have The Following, and then you have, I think it's like 98, and then you have Memento in 2000, and now we have Insomnia in 2002. So Memento is really his Christopher Nolan's like first major film, in that it has Guy Pearce, Carrie-Anne Moss, and Joe Pantoliano. Um, and so, right, celebrity cast, and this is keeping that same stead. Now, both of those movies, they have different sort of acceptance to them because they're interesting movies. They're not action per se. Some of his movies you see that are highly acclaimed are ones that are full of action, explosions, big shots, big universes, big characters. And these ones are both following Memento and Insomnia are all quiet movies. They're about intrigue. They're about the way that people think about themselves and the world around them. Um, in this movie in particular, it's about noticing small details and how small details become important. So it's interesting. It's an interesting movie. I can tell you that one of the first times I saw it, one of the first times. The second time I saw it was to be reminded of what happened in the movie, being prepared for this project. Uh, so I've seen it twice, is what I'm telling you. And so the first time that I saw it, I did not like it. Did not like it. Because I guess one of the things that I think I the things that I wrote in my notes is like I don't think I understood film as well as I do now, and so there's a lot of things that Nolan is doing that I don't understand the genre. I don't understand like the choices that he's making. So for me, yeah, it doesn't stick. But now I guess as a more like I've seen more movies. I've seen his movies a bunch. Um, what he's done recently, as his career has continued, and in that time, because when I saw Memento and when I've seen the following, I'm like 18 and 19, at those times. I think I see Memento a lot. Like I'm from like 16 to like 18, and then I watched the following. I think in like my early 20s, something like that, right? So obviously I've seen a bunch more movies since then. Obviously, I've thought a lot more about what makes a story and how you tell them and all those things. Um, so I liked it a lot more this go around. So I was like, maybe I shouldn't have it so far down. And then I'm like, well, but in comparison to all the other movies that come up above it, I'm like, yeah, it's still fair that it's way down here, even for all its strengths. So we're getting to a place where I'm like, I don't really dog on these films. They're not my favorite, and I can just see in a lot of ways that they're not people's favorite. But it's not for lack of trying because this movie's got Al Pacino, Robin Williams, and Hilary Swank, among others. The more Nolan gets into his career, the more he starts using like very well-known people. And so this is Insomnia is even though it's one of his early works, this is when Robin Williams is in his serious phase. The later part of his like after his kids have left and stuff like that. Just as a quick digression, I believe you can split Robin Williams' career into the early years, which is that real wacko goofball stuff, like Mork and Mindy to like Jack. Like that kind of like he's just like the wackadoodle like over the top Robin Williams. There's somebody in that range that are so fun. Mrs. Doubtfire, The Birdcage, like there's just all those movies. And then you see that he transitions kind of into like family-friendly films because his kids you can see he's doing entertainment for his kids, which I think is really great. And then he moves after that, after his kids move out. I'm not exactly sure about the timeline with his family, but he moves into like this more like serious phase. And this movie where he shows like he's just like such an amazing actor, and that he's been an entertainer for so long because he knew that that's what would get attention, that's what people like, and he likes to be entertaining so people don't feel sad. But then he does movies like 1 Hour Photo, Jacob the Liar, Insomnia, Sunset Boulevard, I believe, which is his last film. Um, I might be wrong about that. Uh, but just things like that. And also, I might be wrong about the title of the last one. Uh, but he's doing movies that shows that he really understands humans and how they are, and how they behave. And this is one of them. It is a sleeper. I did spoil a lot of what happens before that with Insomnia. So if you're watching this, you didn't plan to do it, or I hope you're watching it just to like think and talk about Insomnia with other people who do here. But that's the case with it is that you don't even know he's in the movie. It's so like and he shows up as a character that's like trying not to be seen, um, and it's it's a really touching performance in my opinion. He's devious, but also he's like thoughtful and seemingly nice. It's this, yeah. So Insomnia takes place so it is a remake. First of all, let me. I want to give you all this stuff so you understand the context, and then also talk about the movie at the same time. So I'm just excited about it. So it ranks 7.2. Just so you know, it's a 2002. Um, it's based on a 1997 Swedish film of the same name that has Stellan Skarsgård in it. And it makes sense as a Swedish film because one of the plot points or one of the plot devices is that they're in this location that's so far north that the sun isn't setting. Um, and so it's just like it's daylight all the time for the course of this movie, and then some points in the wintertime it gets completely dark and stays dark. I think in this movie it's in Alaska instead, so that it makes more sense to an American audience. And they're investigating this murder that happened with his body. Um, it is produced by George Clooney and Steven Soderbergh, which is really saying something. I mean, this is his third film. And so just have those guys to like recognize to be like, yeah, this is the guy. He's definitely, you can trust that we're gonna make some money off of this project. Um, it's cool. I think for Nolan to like like that's to be recognized, right? To like to have like, and he is. I think you really should respect Nolan as a creator, because he does it so damn well. He does tell to intriguing stories that keep you watching. Um, the movie has a very memento feeling to it, which you can't really blame him from because he only has that and another noir movie the following under his belt at that time as far as like public films. Perhaps he dabbled a number of times. Um, but we see like this close up of this man like dabbing blood on a sleeve, and that's kind of what it like leaves us with. Um, so Man, I'm so close to having this finished. My brain's like not wanting to do the two things. Um, uh, Listen, I'm gonna put put him up on screen like that so we can see it. And then save the work. I can't keep working on that. Is that okay with you guys? I hope that it is. Um, because my brain. So currently, guys, right now, the reason one of the reasons we're like, hey, if you could support us on the Patreon, we would be ever so grateful. Is because we do this in addition to working other jobs, which is like most creators now. Um, that's just how it is, right? Um, but yeah, so if you want to see it more, we'd love to do it. And it's just that it can be just so exhausting. Is the thing. Um, that so like I've done a bunch of hours. I made sure I had myself together for this, so I've consumed a bunch of information, and now I'm telling you about it. Um, and so I'm glad to be here. I'm definitely saying that for sure. And then at the same time, like it's just it's just you.
What is up, everyone?
It's possible to be tired, and enjoy what you're doing. Um, so I'm gonna put on a Drawing Jack episode so that you can watch some Jack drawing, which you've seen before, but just so we have something on. How's that? Um, so, and then I'll continue to tell you about some of this Nolan, and hopefully we can talk more about it. Thank you for allowing me to take that break to do it. I do really want to get that animatics done, and we're getting real close to being able to do that. So I'm excited, and I'm hoping that you're excited too. And I think that you guys will be real excited when you start to see it. So thank you for joining us on this ride, and thank you for joining us even when when we are exhausted. Um, There is, you can tell in Insomnia that there's a really big budget. There's some really beautiful like nature shots, like filming over like ice flows and stuff like that. And there's some just really big, like you can see like the town and all these people and stuff like that. Big budget. Um, so, uh, and of course, Al Pacino is there. He's being brought in for the case of this murder mystery of this woman who's been murdered. He and his partner are being brought in, uh, even because they're trying to get him out of town because there's this investigation going on, that they may have like been bribed, or at least his partner may have been bribed, by some drug dealers or something like that. And so internal affairs is sniffing around, so they need to get him out of town. So they get him on this case to go up to Alaska to, kind of like let people know that they're still, valid and still solving cases and whatnot. And then they're having this conversation early on in the movie where they're talking about, well, at least they got no dirt on you. And he says, of course there's no dirt on me. And then his partner says, yeah, of course not, except for this one guy. Right? And they mention his name. I don't think it's real important what his name is, but it comes up again and again. So as the story develops, Hilary Swank. So Al Pacino is a well-known detective, put a lot of people away, solved some really good crimes as a detective, and so he's like well known for that. And then your boy gets to come back, and so they get to sorry they get called up to do this. Hilary Swank really looks up to him, really admires him, is really like taking notes of everything that she can, trying to learn as much as she can from this celebrity detective. Uh, and so they get this hot tip, right? They find out that they're going to be able to track down where they think this suspected murder is going to be at. And so they're up in Alaska, and it's real foggy, and so they're chasing them. The dude actually fires on them. The person they're chasing fires on them, and it hits one of the guys. He goes down. They start chasing and give chase, and then I'm sorry, I should back up a little bit. Al Pacino's partner, when he's sitting at the table before, early on in the movie, they're having this conversation. He says Internal Affairs is coming after him, and in order to get Internal Affairs off his back, he's going to give up, the information that he knows about this celebrity detective, right? Al Pacino's character, the fact that he did this thing that they both know that he did, and so there's this conflict between the two of them, where the partner thinks it's the perfect thing to get him out of trouble. Obviously, Al Pacino doesn't want that to happen because all the people he put away will now be overturned and have to be relooked at and all that sort of stuff. There is there's a conflict there. So as they're running through the fog, there's shots fired and all this. He sees the guy and he fires at him. And he shoots him through the heart. He's dead within a few minutes after seeing that it's his partner. He's horrified. It is his partner. So yeah, he's just absolutely horrified. And so now he's gotten what he wants, but it seems that it's not that he did it on purpose. And that's kind of like the quandary with the movie is that he doesn't report it. He actually covers it up. And the cop who's there, who's looking over the case, is an old friend of his. And so he puts Hilary Swank on the case. It's kind of like the rookie cop, just like kind of like do the tidy up the paperwork. But the more she looks at it, the more she realizes that things aren't adding up with the official investigation. And it seems like it actually turns out that she finds out he may have shot him, shot his partner. And the reason that he may have done it, he could have done it, was to make sure that something else doesn't come out because there's this investigation going on. And so while there's the investigation for the murder of this girl, which is the real reason that they're up there. Now, Hilary Swank is starting to do an investigation on the second murder that's occurred during the first one. So, real fun, right? So, the cat and the mouse, like a cat is seeking the mouse, but at the same time, the cat is a mouse. Oh, and it's being stopped by another cat. So yeah, like it's got levels to it. I can see why Nolan found this movie to be so interesting, because it has this. There's very dynamic characters. This is one of the things that I was saying about this film is that I think as a younger person who hadn't seen a bunch of movies, I couldn't understand the tension that was being laid out, or I didn't experience it in the same way. Um, I think that I don't know. There's something about where when you normally watch movies, now it feels like a lot of them are samey. It's just like a series of events. And so now when I watch a movie that has like actual characters breathing and feeling things, and like like they've gotten each other into situations and stuff, they're wow, I'm so sorry. My brain just seized up. Uh, that we feel it with them, and it's more rare to see it. And I think you have to like kind of also like empathize a lot more in order to get it. And I think in ways that kids don't, and if you don't know what you're looking for. But this movie is really interesting for that because that cat and mouse. Because like, what do you do? From Hilary Swank's perspective, what do you do when you realize that your hero might not be the person that you think they are, and also they might be somebody you have to arrest now as your job? Um, so it's interesting for that. And then also, here's the thing. Here's the bit of the twist is that um, so Al Pacino can't sleep, and he's obviously he's been up for a more like particular days. Um, so sorry, he's been up for days, and so I think like day two or so, he starts getting these phone calls in the middle of the night. Now, the middle of the night for them, the sun's still up, so there's still like light streaming through his window. He tries to block it off as much as possible, um, to no avail. It's like 3 and 4 in the morning. But so the murderer starts calling his hotel room, and actually he'd shown up at another point, claiming to be his new partner. Um, and so he shows up. He starts calling, and he says that he saw what happened. He saw the man murder his partner. He heard the partner say, "Get away from me," that he was scared of him. Um, and so it's so now it says that the mouse is now turning on the cat. And so they start playing this game where now he's like confessing his crimes to Pacino. And he's letting him know that he is guilty and that he has a good reason for doing the things that he's done. Um, and so it's just so interesting. Like he gets Pacino to confess that there was something that his partner had on him. Um, when they finally meet face to face on this ferry. This is actually one of the scenes that I celebrate so much, even though this movie is ranked so low, in my opinion on this ranking. It's the middle of the bottom, right? That's where it is. But there's a couple of scenes, and this is it. There's one scene in this they're on the ferry, and it's just watching the two of them have this conversation. Pacino and Robin Williams have this conversation. The tension is so tight. There might be some music, but I can't remember. It might just be the sound of the boat and their conversation. And then there's another one with the two of them meeting up at a pole, right? Like you would hold on to while the boat was moving. And did I mention it's a ferry? I'm sorry, that's what type of boat it is. It's a ferry to get them, from one place to another. So kind of like a bus on the water. Yeah, so they've got that pole that's there that they're hanging on to, and then again, it sits on the two of their faces, like having this conversation. It's just such a beautiful shot, you know. It's just and it's like a lot of modern cinema, in my opinion, doesn't have the patience to do stuff like that. Like it's always got to be moving, it's always got to be frenetic, and you know, it works for genres, certain genres, and you can see that you know this is not people's favorite thing. But you know, I came from the theater, right? Like that's my background, and so watching people perform in long stretches is so rewarding to me. Um, because yes, you can have, you know, clips of different pieces of music and put them together to make a song. And also, you can watch people perform that song live in one take. And just how beautiful that is to see people pull off things on purpose. Um, I can't remember if it's Al Pacino who said it or Robert De Niro, but one of these actors was quoted as saying that theater is scary because you're walking a trapeze wire way above the net, way above the audience and above the net. And film is easy because you are walking a trapeze wire, but you know it's only about 2 feet off the ground. Um, so, you know, no problem there. Like if you fail, you just start over. And so like doing things like long takes or like having people do a conversation, it's very Robert Alton, if I think I'm getting the director correct, where he really liked to see, you know, just let moments breathe. And again, you don't get to see it much, and it is refreshing to see it in this movie. Um, it comes down to a shootout between Robin Williams and Al Pacino, and they. Oh, I'm sorry. I missed one thing altogether. Is that Robin Williams, you know, confesses that he kills her, but he keeps claiming he has a good reason. And then it turns out that the good reason is that he hit on her and she laughed at him, and then he lost his temper and beat her to death. So Pacino realizes that he is scum and does need to be taken out. Um, but there's a problem, is that they've been playing this cat and mouse game where they keep making people, where Robin's doing these things to set up these moves, and Pacino like tries to double cross him. There's double crossing that happens back as far as like who has the gun where. Robin frames the murdered girl's boyfriend for the kills. He's taken in. The gun's found in his place. And so, you know, there's a story. He doesn't have an alibi. And so just, and Robin knows all these things, and so he uses it against him. And so there's this place that Al Pacino's in where he knows the truth. And Robin has confessed the truth to him. But he can't, like, Al Pacino can't do anything about it. And so he decides to do the thing. He stays up late again on the fifth or sixth night, and he's like making all this racket, and he can't sleep. And the woman from the front desk, she comes in and she's you know like she's like, hey, everyone needs to sleep. Like you can't be doing this. And he tells her a story about how he knew that this one guy was guilty. He knew it beyond the shadow of a doubt, but they didn't have any evidence. So he went and planted evidence to make sure that you know he was convicted, and that was the thing that his partner was holding over him. And so he asks the woman. He asks her, like, what is it? You know, like, what was it the right thing to do? And the woman says, you know, there's that people who live in Alaska because they're born here, and there's people who live in Alaska because they're trying to get away from something. She said, I wasn't born here. And so he says, well, what do you think? And she says, the morality of your actions depend on what you thought was right at the time and what you're willing to live with. Um, which is interesting, right? And then you see that Pacino decides to pick up his badge and to go after the guy. Even though he can't be convicted, he's going to kill him anyway, because he's a murderer who shouldn't be able to keep murdering. Um, it's an interesting take for a movie. I don't know if I 100% support that concept of vigilante justice. I can see from a certain perspective how it makes sense, but like, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth leaves everyone blind and toothless. I believe that that's why this justice system is even as slow and corrupt and wrong as it is. Sometimes I think it's better than people just taking like murdering each other because it just keeps escalating. We need a due process, so that it can be what it needs to be and be impartial. Um, as problematic as that is. Um, so Pacino's been up for 6 days. He's tripping really hard. He's ready to kill the guy who's a known murderer who has confessed to the murder. He's ready to do that. It turns out Hilary Swank has also figured out that he's the guy, through a different means altogether, and that Pacino probably did kill. Oh, jeez. Probably did kill his partner. Whether or not it was on purpose is, still up in the air and ambiguous. Um, there's a big shootout between the two of them. Robin Williams ends up dead. Al Pacino ends up shot by you know like fun scene engineering. They end up getting shot with each other's guns instead of their own. Sorry, each one gets shot with their own gun by the other person. So it's just to confuse the scene. The Robin definitely dies. He falls into the water and drowns with a bullet shot as he's dead. Al Pacino kind of bleeds out on the deck. And then Hilary Swank starts to, she shows Pacino the bullet and she lets him know that she's going to protect his legacy, that no one's going to know that he did what he did. Um, as far as like murder his partner, which he had more than enough evidence for. And he says, no, like once you start doing that, the thing that I did, planting evidence, fixing it so it makes it right, you can't stop. It's always like lurking over you. And then the movie ends with him dying and her standing there with the bullet, um, like thinking about what she needs to do. Um, and it's very Nolan ending, right? I think it's very appropriate that's the case. Just, I guess we did this for Alex's sake. Okay, I'm watching the live stream with you guys. Um, and we don't know. We don't know what she does. If she like reports him or not. We don't know. And I'm leaning towards probably not, because it feels like maybe that's the case in the movie. But also, he is, in order to honor his legacy, which I think she would want to do, he says do it, because she shouldn't cover up the truth. And I feel like she is like that type of cop. So, yeah, that is Insomnia. Like I said, I liked it a lot more than I thought I would. I definitely preferred it than the first time I saw it. The tension really makes sense. It's super fun. I don't think you need to know any of the things that I mentioned, like that it is a Nolan movie or that it is a remake. I think that people who like like a slow burn, like mystery, and like games of cat and mouse, will really, really like this movie. For those reasons that it just does it really well. The bigness is there, but also the closeness and calmness of a lot of his like Nolan's early movies is there. So I think if you guys want to see what Nolan is really good at, you should look at these. I think he's gotten away from it a lot, and I'm hoping that spoilers. I haven't seen Oppenheimer yet. I'm hoping that that's the case. That Oppenheimer will live up to that expectation, where it's going to have the bigness and the quietness of this balance. Um, but yeah, no, that yeah, this movie for me, real fun. Insomnia is a real fun movie. It holds together as a story real well. It is really tight. All the characters are intelligent. You gotta appreciate those, all those things. Um, so the overall, I'm really excited about what we're going to be doing and talking about with the Nolan movies. We get to talk about one of my favorite directors, and how cool he is and how he tells stories. Um, one of the things I enjoy looking at is, how are the masters doing things well? How are they not doing things well? What kind of, like, even in, like, movies that are really well celebrated. We're going to be looking at Batman Begins in the next episode, and just like, and how cool that is. Um, but like, what flaws there are in those movies, and also, like, what he does well. One of the things that keeps bringing me back, and even I'd say we're going to talk about Tenet in the next one too, is a huge scene in Tenet where they have this orchestra and everyone's falling asleep. Um, and I think it's one of the opening movie, like, shots of the movie, and Nolan's just letting you know, like, hey, we're gonna use practical effects. We're gonna be really, really big. We're going to introduce these, like, you know, they're gonna be, when you see it happening in the camera, you're gonna believe it, right? And so it's just like, I do appreciate that about him. He does put together a really good movie. He does have a really good cast. The concepts that he puts in, he makes sure that your average viewer can understand them and get. You don't have to strive to and struggle to understand a Nolan film. In my opinion, they're pretty straightforward. With the exception of Memento, I think some people have problems with the time flow in Memento. Um, I would say that for the most part, if you watch Memento, the time flow makes sense. It's just not usual, and so I think people have trouble with it because of that. It's just not usual. Um, so if you end up watching Memento and you're like, what's going on? I would encourage you just power through, um, just to see it, and get to the end, because they are worth it. Now, that being said, we're going to talk about Memento in a couple of weeks. So power through the rest of these Nolan movies, and we'll get to that one, and I'll tell you all why it's my favorite movie and what's going on with it. We are going to have a guest at that time, my good friend Richard Burt, who I've known for 20 something years, an actor friend of mine. Um, we're going to get to talk about it because he was the one who's actually suggested the series. So we're going to be talking about some of our favorite movies in a couple of weeks. So tune in. Guys, thank you so much for listening this far into the podcast. This has been a Cox in Space podcast at coxinspace.com. If you want to check us out, you can check out Jack's work up there on our YouTube. You can check out the page progressions as they've happened. Um, you can check out the clips as they're going up, and all of those things, and then all the shows we've got going on. Check out our calendar. Look at and see who's on our casts and who's got some voice acting happening, and check out all their information as well. Thank you again so much for being here with us. We will see you in the next one. Bye.